So this is my big break. I got an email inviting me to give a briefing to the most senior people in the company. And at first I think, this has got to be a mistake. So I talked to my boss, Scott. No, I love Scott. Scott was the type of guy in his free time would read books on how to succeed in business, and then pass on what he learned to me. So I go, Scott, was I really invited to this meeting? And Scott goes, Lynn, you're doing a great job. But we have new management, and they don't know who you are. So you need to go to California, give this presentation, so the senior people get to know you. Now, as you know, for any meeting, you need a mission. So your mission is to make sure after the meeting, the senior people remember you. Now, he had me with go to California. But when I had a mission, I was fully in. I'm thinking, I accept this mission. I'm going to go to California. I'm going to give this great presentation. These people are going to remember me. So I fly out to California. It's my first time at the corporate headquarters. The receptionist brings me up to the conference room. It's this beautiful room with this big mahogany conference table. There are additional chairs lined up against the wall. The room is full, and I only recognize one person, and that's Dave. Now, Dave is my boss's boss. And Dave sees me and says, hey, Lynn, welcome to Los Angeles. Let me introduce you to some people. So he says, Lynn, this is John. Now, John, he's still upset about the game last night. And I go, yeah, that game, that was the worst. Now, I have no idea what game they're talking about. I don't even know what sport they're talking about. But I know to meet my mission, I need to play along. So Dave then goes and introduces me to Mike, and to Joe, and to Bob, and to another John. And basically, it's a room full of men. Now, I work for an engineering company, so it wasn't that unusual. As often happens, there are more men in the room named John than there were women. So I know, partly by just showing up, people are going to remember me, I'm going to meet my mission. And so after the introductions, people go to sit, and I go to sit at one of the chairs against the wall, and Dave pipes in and says, Lynn, you're presenting, sit at the table. And so I go and sit at the table with the senior people, and I feel really good now. I feel like, Thanksgiving when you're a kid and you're finally invited to the adult table. Well, I feel great because I am now sitting at the table with the senior people. I am meeting my mission. These senior people, they're going to remember me sitting at this table. And my presentation's one of the first in the morning, so I get up to give my presentation, and this is the moment I've been preparing for. I am fully prepared. I'm going to dazzle these people. And I know you need to talk the language of the people in the audience. So to speak to these men, I start my presentation. I'm going to talk about a dam project, and this dam project is the best dam project this company has. Now, I'm a water resources engineer, so they knew the dam I was talking about was lakes, reservoirs. But I am thinking, this presentation is going fantastic. This is the best presentation these senior people have heard for years. I am meeting my mission. I am going to be well remembered for this presentation. And things are going great. I'm giving the presentation of my career when I feel this wetness at the corner of my eye, and it trickles down. And then I feel some more wetness in the corner of my eye, and it trickles down. And while I had been feeling so comfortable with my presentation, I start to think, what is the worst possible thing I can do in a presentation in a business meeting full of men? Cry. Now, I wasn't actually crying. Although I've been fully prepared for this meeting, I forgot one thing. At that time, I had a blocked tear duct. And so what that meant, if my eye got irritated, it would water, it couldn't go through the tear duct, so it'd go up out of the eye and look like tears. Now, I was a water resource engineer. And I hadn't considered the dry air in California was going to irritate my eye. And so I know once my eye starts watering, it's only going to get worse. So I was up here giving the presentation of my career, and I start to panic. Go, what do I do? What do I do? People are going to think I'm crying. And so I think of my boss, Scott. Now, Scott, he has probably read every book there is about giving presentations. What would Scott do? And I think I have seen Scott give dozens of presentations. Never once have I heard Scott apologize during a presentation. And I've definitely never heard Scott apologize for crying. So if Scott has not apologized for crying, I'm not going to apologize for crying. But I quickly wrap up my presentation because I know it's only going to get worse, and I sit down, think, relief. Maybe nobody noticed the water from my eye. And I'm sitting there at the table when I feel another teardrop and another drop. And what I hadn't considered is the fact that once my eye starts watering, it only gets worse. And so water from my black tear duct continues to come down. And eventually there's so much water from my eye, I have to reach for my Kleenex in my purse. And I go to my purse, get my Kleenex out, and wipe away the wetness. And the water continues, so I need to get another Kleenex and wipe it away. And eventually I had this pile of Kleenexes next to me. And well, before I could think, well, maybe no one notices, now there's no way people don't notice this water from my eye, my pile of used Kleenex next to me. And so now I start to feel regret. I regret that I hadn't just sat in one of the chairs against the wall where no one would notice me, but instead I'm at the table with the senior people where everyone sees me. I regret during the presentation I hadn't just said, hey, I'm not crying, it's just a blocked tear duct, but I didn't do that. And I regret that I hadn't paid attention to the game last night so I could say these are just tears because I'm upset about the game. But instead, I continue to have the water come down. I continue to build my pile of used Kleenex. When I look around the table with the senior men, they do that thing where they can't look me in the eye because they're so embarrassed for me because they think I'm crying. One of the Johns who was sitting next to me, at one point, he tries to hand me his handkerchief without actually looking at me with the eye. These poor men, they just don't know what to do when there's a woman who appears to cry throughout the entire meeting. So while I'm not crying, I am cursing silently my damn blocked tear duct. And I say nothing throughout the entire meeting. And so after the meeting, I'm talking to my boss, Scott, about how the meeting went. And I go, well, Scott, everyone's going to remember me. Mission accomplished.